Welcome back to the 2014 North American Spring Playoffs. We're starting our day off with CLG Gaming versus Team Curse. And Kobe, the last time these teams met in a best of 3 was in the summer playoffs last year when they were competing for 5th place.
Yeah, and it should be another good matchup this year. Coming into the playoffs, there were a lot of expectations that CLG would be playing in the finals for a shot at first. They had a commanding first game win against TSM, and things were clearly going according to plan. But after CLG's loss in Game 2, all of their strategies went out the window, and they were defeated in the same way that TSM always used to defeat them.
Well, meanwhile for Curse on the other side, they came out swinging. They managed to give Cloud9 some trouble. They took some early leads in both of their games, and that was against the defending champions here in North America.
Yeah, and Curse is a team that's credited with being unpredictable and using a lot of different strategies, but they used the same strategy twice in both games versus Cloud9, and they failed both times. We'll have to see if they can shake up the playbook and surprise CLG today.
All right, we'll have to see how the picks and bans play out. For now, though, let's check out those starting lineups. Over on the blue side, it is CLG, with Nien in the top lane, Dexter in the jungle, Link in the mid lane, with Doublelift and Aphromoo as your AD carry and support.
And on the red side, it's Curse. Up top is Quas. In the jungle, IWillDominate. Mid, Voyboy. Top is the AD carry, and Bunny FuFuu supporting.
Well, that brings us to a throwdown in the top lane, as Nien versus Quas is our featured matchup.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a really important lane to watch. Nien has been an inconsistent player throughout the split, and he's shown that he can make big plays, but after CLG's loss to TSM in Game 2, he did look extremely flustered during Champion Select when faced with the prospect of a 1v1 with Dyrus. While Quas has continued to improve from the start of this year. You know, he was legendary yesterday on Jax, and he's shown that he can also play a mean Renekton. So there's a very real possibility that he could dominate his lane in a similar fashion to Dyrus. We'll see if Nien can keep his nerves in check and hold on to give his team a good chance at the 3rd place.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes on it. Going to pick some bans. We've seen both of these teams running a multitude of champions. The same style of composition from Curse, that sort of Dr. Mundo front line with a supporting mid lane.
Dr. Mundo and Lulu have really been the core for them, yeah.
One thing I do want to highlight in yesterday's games, 5 for 5 Lucian first picks. On the blue side, we'll see whether or not CLG wants to go that way.
He keeps winning games.
He is. I think he's only lost 1 game thus far over the weekend, and Doublelift has played him an excessive amount as well. So we are into picks and bans, game 1 of this best of 3. CLG Gaming instantly taking away that Dr. Mundo, so Quas is going to be forced onto something a little different. Thresh and Soraka thrown out as well.
Interesting. So looking at the top lane ban, only the Mundo so far. Jax and Renekton still available. Now you don't want to... Oh, so they ban away Jax. Last time we saw this, the team was sort of baiting their opponents into picking the Renekton. We'll have to see, because Nien really does like Trundle, but last time he had to play Trundle into Renekton, it was versus Dyrus, and that was the game we're talking about that did not turn out very well.
We'll have to see what gets locked in. Ruiz is still up and available, something we've seen picked and played
There's that Lucian.
a couple of times, and again, 6 games in a row now. Lucian first pick, and I guess it's safe. You know, it doesn't reveal anything for your team.
It's safe, and he really has a little bit of everything in his kit. So he's an all-around extremely strong champion. Doesn't really have a weak point that you can exploit.
Doublelift has played a whole lot of Lucian coming into this tournament, and really been the AD carry of the North American playoffs. Now Curse have got 2 picks to play with. We'll just see what they decide to lock in.
Yeah.
Nocturne and Lulu, they're denying Nocturne from Dexter, who did play a phenomenal Nocturne games 1 and 2 yesterday.
Well, if you look at the bans, Curse banned out Vayne, and everybody knows that Doublelift has just been playing Lucian over and over and over. So really, they're kind of scared of split push from Doublelift, I think, with that Vayne ban last. Interesting here from Curse. They don't want to have to deal with that from CLG. They feel like that's CLG's strongest point, is their split pushing. The other things that CLG used very well, though, were the globals. They had a very effective TF and Nocturne as well. So Curse also taking away the Nocturne. They took away a lot of things here from CLG, I think.
So, very smart first rotation on Curse's side. Voyboy's going to be on that comfort pick of Lulu, which he's played along with Yasuo as the side lane. We'll need to see if they continue to give that to Voyboy in the mid, because I believe Bunny FuFuu also played a game of Lulu support in one of their series. So we'll have to see if Curse decide to swap that around. Dexter taking his time and grabs Elise.
So in the Bunny FuFuu game where he played Lulu, there were a bunch of support bans. This time around, yes, the go-to ban of Thresh has been taken away from him, but there still is that Leona. And if we go with the history, he pretty much always defaults to Leona. It would give them that engage to back up Nocturne. Leona plus Nocturne is a very long-range engage, and it would be a strong move for Curse. They really like that playstyle, so we have to see. Hovering over Nami, though. Interesting picks.
I think they're just biding some time.
A little bit. Did the Urgot tip you off with that one?
I'm not believing this at all. We did see Dexter hover on Lee Sin for a while. He has only played Nocturne and Lee Sin, and this will be him now jumping onto the Elise. Gonna see if we can land some of those cocoons. And you know, it's a champion that some junglers have shied away from, but is still effective in the right hand.
Yeah, so Elise was changed. She was not nerfed into the ground. And Meteos showed yesterday just how well you can still use the champion. He went a bit more tanky, more cooldown reduction, a little bit more utility, and actually maxing Cocoon second is now the way that many of the pros are doing that jungle Elise. Well, we will definitely keep track of that for Dexter, but I think that he will be going the same route. The thing is, Meteos jumped on it very quickly, but people who have jumped on it after him, like Nintendo yesterday and now Dexter, they have not put in the time to practice this. Dexter was also tweeting out about, oh, that's a really interesting Elise build. Is he maxing Cocoon second? So it makes me think that these junglers who are now jumping on that Elise and going the same route as Meteos have not put in as much time, and it might show in the play.
All right, we'll see how Dexter handles himself. We did see that Renekton and Caitlyn locked in for Curse, so a lot of early aggression champions already secured. The rest of CLG Gaming's composition includes Shyvana for the top lane. That is a Nien special if ever I saw one. 15 or 16 regular games during the split, and of course link onto that Ziggs. So a lot of everything on the side of CLG. They've got some poke, they've got some siege potential, and they got some pretty good disengage if they need it.
Yeah, Nien's very happy to be on a comfort pick. He did not have a good time in the Trundle versus Renekton. We'll see how he can go in round 2, because as we said, Quas is also a very strong Renekton player, and he's very similar player to Dyrus in the top lane. Hopefully for CLG's sake, it does not turn out the same way. But again, you talked about that early aggression. That's one of the things that did change about Elise. And when I say these other junglers that are jumping on the Elise might not be as effective, is because it's a change in playstyle. You know, Dexter has amazing Elise mechanics. It's not like he does not play Elise. He played her so much when she was this early game powerhouse. It's the mentality that changes a little bit. And they lock in the Akali for Voyboy. So there you go. You're right. Bunny FuFuu Lulu. And they will have the Voyboy Akali. Now, I really love the way that Voyboy talks about Akali. He's definitely a huge proponent of the champion, but he admits that the early game is extremely weak. He refers to her as a tadpole. You have to farm up a little bit for the first 6 levels. And then once you get that 6th level, that's where you finally turn into a frog and you can start leaping around and you actually get some power.
It's a pretty deadly frog if ever I've seen one. We'll see how Curse handle the potential of the 4v1 tower swaps and lane matchups. If Voyboy is looking for some easy lane farm, hell, they could throw Caution to the Wind and stick him in one of those side lanes for the CS. Time will tell, but an interesting lock-in. We've been calling Curse out all weekend, saying they're only running one sort of strategy, and now they pull out that Akali.
Yeah, one of the older strategies that they always used to use were those assassins. A lot of people saying, Exhaust is too powerful, we can't run assassins anymore. He's going with the Akali plus Nocturne, so they have 2 people that are going to go high damage and dive into the back line.
We'll see if they can find the targets that they want. As the teams are loading onto the Rift, let's check your predictions. According to LOLesports.com, 79% of you think that CLG will come out on top, and we will also be periodically checking your predictions over at Twitter.
All right, so the Nocturne Akali dive with Renekton as well. It's a teleport Renekton, by the way.
Yeah, don't forget to send us your picks, your tweets at LOL Esports. Use that hashtag CLG win or CRS win. Choose wisely or just choose often, whatever your preference is.
You can vote as many times as you want. So if you keep spamming it, then you can just move the bar that way.
True fans tweet multiple times. You heard it here first. So we are jumping into game in just a moment. This is the 3rd place matchup between CLG Gaming and Team Cursed. Looking to see who will grab the series lead. And I'm excited to see Voyboy and Akali. I'm excited to see how he handles himself in this matchup.
Well, it is a dive-heavy team here. They've got the three members on the front line that are all looking to get in and backed up by a Lulu ultimate. if they get the jump and they're fighting away from a turret, could be extremely effective. We'll have to see how the early game goes. If Akali can actually start roaming post level 6 too, then she can start ripping CLG apart. And since the meta has trended towards early towers going down, they'll have more room to work with.
We'll have to see how Voyboy takes advantage. 3 summoner heals on the side of Team Curse versus the 2 on the side of CLG Gaming. But as you predicted, Link running exhaust.
They only have 1 exhaust, so they can either exhaust Nocturne or Akali. Both of them, both of them will be running full damage. Renekton, he'll probably at least get a Tiamat.
Oh,
he hits it.
Caught by the dog binding. This is going to be first blood. That just looked too easy from CLG Gaming. Dominate, unfortunate to not flag.
Yeah, so you get speed when you're on the trail, but it has a cast time there. The little cast time for casting Q cost Dominate that binding, I think. It was just the edge of the binding there. It's a very wide skill shot, the hitbox there. And laying down that dusk trail actually might have cost him. Could have just started walking as soon as he seen the enemy.
Assists across the board. Dexter's the one that grabs the kill credit. Instantly picks himself up a ward and a rejuvenation bead. So gonna have his jungle be somewhat more effective, and we'll see how he can impact his lanes. For the time being, it looks like we're gonna have straight head-to-head matchups, as both top laners appear to be moving to the top lane. Both duo laners will most likely be getting into lane in the not too distant future, but both of them actually helping out their respective junglers. It's not something you see all that often anymore, so quite interesting to note.
It's a return to a very old meta here, where the support and ADs are actually helping with the first buff. Both junglers will end up on the top side, and we may see early top side ganks to try and get that lane snowballing. It has been an extremely volatile lane in this 4.5 patch because the bottom lanes are all running double heals now, so they're so hard to gank. A lot of junglers have pretty much given up on that lane for ganking when the summoners are available. So that puts actually more pressure on the top and mid lanes. And since, Voyboy and Akali, as we said, tadpole form right now, he's going to be playing very defensively, just trying to farm up and avoid as much damage as possible. He's taking a lot of damage right now.
Taking a lot of poke, missing a bunch of CS. No, I think Link's doing a pretty good job of harassing Voyboy at every opportunity he can. And we'll see how quickly Voyboy can become that leaping frog. Leaping frog with multiple blades and weapons to try and kill Link. For the time being, Dark Binding connects. Bunny FuFuu takes a massive amount of poke. Doublelift and Aphromoo coming out supremely happy with that trade.
Yeah, Aphromoo has been pretty good with the bindings thus far. He's always had good aim with his skill shots, so no surprise there. The other thing we want to keep our eyes on are the junglers, of course. As you said, the early ward from Dexter. He likes to go counter jungle. In this matchup, it is a Feral Flare versus a non-Feral Flare. First meeting is not very exciting, but it should be a smite fight over the wolf. Dexter doesn't want to let that one get close.
So just denying more resources from Dominate. Dexter with his first successful invade, and every single time we come back to this mid lane, Link is harassing Voyboy down. Voyboy now out of potions, but he's still even on CS. We need to see how that main matchup works out in his favor. Double buffs on Dexter for the cocoon.
He's just trying to zone them here. Yeah, not going for any kills. As we said, the double heals, you usually won't get kills this early. He's just trying to zone them, make them lose a little CS because he was on the exit path from that bottom side jungle anyway. Just trying to make the most of his time on that side of the map. When you are Elise going up against the Feral Flare jungler, the best time to counter jungle them is early. You want to delay them, turning it into a Madrid. The longer you can delay that, means that you're delaying the Feral Flare even more because that's really where a lot of the clear speed comes from. So the early counter jungling is the most potent here. And just stealing away that wolf, he also zoned Dominate from the white as well. So he pretty much zoned him out of that entire side of his jungle.
So smart positional play from Dexter. As you see, Dominate has completed that Madrid's Razor, as you've touched on. And finally going to get back into his jungle. No big wolf, so again, further delay.
Plus, Dexter left his ward here. So he's seen Dominate go to this side of the jungle. Now, the reason I even became a jungler in the first place is because it's the role with the most mind games. And you get to have a little bit of information here. He saw Dominate for a second. From there, you extrapolate where Dominate will go from then. You can plan out the next minute of Dominate's time just by seeing him once. And now he even gets another piece of vision here as he walks by the ward again. So Dexter has full vision of Dominate. He gets to make all the choices. Pressuring this Akali with 2 ranged champions versus 2 melee champions is going to put CLG up even further.
Aphromoo is landing Dark Binding after Dark Binding and really making Cop and Bunny FuFuu's life difficult. As you touched on, Voyboy's being pressured away from that mid lane.
Yeah, what you want to do as Elise, since you have a huge advantage early in tower sieges against melee champions, all he has to do is pivot off of this mid lane. Anytime he sees Voyboy here, he can come help harass and damage the turret because he is ranged. And from this point, he can make his moves into Dominate's jungle because he's causing so much pressure.
Ooh, that was a good flash there from Dominate. Gets out of range of the last couple of abilities, but flash blown. Dominate just trying to farm, just trying to get the pressure off the tower, ends up losing his summoner spell. Since
he's pressuring the mid lane so much, it's very easy for Dexter to move from that point into Dominate's jungle, and you continue to keep that Pharaoh Flare jungler down. Even though he's got Mad Dreads completed now and he has good clear speed, Dexter has the mid laner to back him up, so he can continue to make these aggressive moves.
Dexter instantly coming through the blue side jungle of Curse once again. Good vision from Curse at least, allows them to back away quickly enough. Voyboy now has access to his ultimate, so he's got those dashes available. Made a ginger movement towards the river, looking like maybe, if anything happened in the bottom lane, he was going to respond. But CLG decide to not dive, decide not to play overly risky. And CLG just clawing small advantages.
Dominate gets level 6 first here.
We'll see how he makes use of it. Does have that paranoia, but needs to be comboed along with most likely that mid or that top lane. Voyboy gonna clear out this pink ward in the jungle of CLG. The sound effects for that Twilight Shroud working in his favor. So as you touched on, hitting level 6, even with the counter jungling from Dexter, Dominate not doing too shabby right now.
Yeah, so you have to remember the solo lane experience that he got because Voyboy was harassed out too, also helping him get those levels. And it looks like Dexter has backed off from the cursed jungle. So now Dominate has a pretty easy time clearing with his Mad Dreads. And he just really wants to scale up. This is the way that Curse want to play it right now. As long as their mid laner can just farm and not be punished too heavily, 10 CS is pretty much to be expected in the matchup versus Ziggs, if not even worse. It's fine for them.
Oh, that's Nien going Dragon's Descent all the way forward, clears out the minion wave and walks away. I guess it doesn't cost you anything on your Dragon's Descent. It'll be up and available soon enough. Make sure he gets the wave pushed out quickly. And this is the first time we're seeing Nien backing, sitting on that Dawn shield. Got 60 CS to his name. Quas only marginally ahead on this Renekton, but we haven't really seen too many aggressive moves. It appears to be somewhat of a farm lane for now.
Yeah, that's pretty much an average CS lead there too, versus Shyvana. Down a little bit early, being pressured pretty well. They also have had this pink ward in the river the entire time for CLG. That was down pre-minion spawn at level 1.
So good vision control now for CLG. Dexter sitting on Elise. He started off
by a ward.
Solo dragon. Curse hasn't appeared to respond
So
yet.
Dominate has his ulti, but he's also at 66% life right now.
We'll see how this plays out. That's a teleport from Quas. Remember, Nien used his to get in lane. There's the paranoia. Dominate's come in. Link, he gets stunned, but he's stunned over the wall. Exhaust is now blown. Voyboy goes in. Another kill secure. This is evening it up on the side of Curse. Dexter is forced away, and Curse, with a very aggressive play, grabbed the dragon and a kill.
Can I say that Nien just teleported back top? After that return to base, Nien's teleport down because he returned up to top lane. It was a perfect time for Curse to counter a dragon. I mean, CLG make this call to start a solo dragon with Dexter at the same time as Nien is using his teleport. That is miscommunication. That is not coordinating the resources that you have available to you. And they get countered perfectly. Curse have a ward down there. They get the kill and the dragon. Nien is at least able to answer the turret, though.
So, tower has been removed. The kill secured for Voyboy on Akali. Quas, it's fine. Nien gets some good damage down. Nien does have that Dragon's Descent if he needs it. Going to be happy to farm away and back out of that lane. Quas grabbed himself the Tiamat, so going to be playing more aggressively, I expect, in the coming minutes. And we'll see if he can bully Nien at all on that Shyvana. Back in the mid lane. Voyboy, thanks to securing the kill, also has the blue buff. So that's going to be helping him out. Get some cooldown reduction. Maybe dashing across the map. He's jumped onto Link. Dexter is waiting in the wings. Instant shadow dance backwards. And that is just great.
People just like seeing leapfrog. That's why the cheers are coming out. Voyboy timing his aggression very well. When you have minion waves back towards your turret, then you always have an escape route with Akali. Post level 6, as we talked about, Akali does get the kill potential. Dominate, though. Dominate thinks that he's got the jump, but he does not. Comp as well.
Comp looks like he's going to go down 1 or 2 more auto attacks. The double autos. Aphromoo flashes forward, grabs the kill.
The flash Morgana autos. Too strong.
OP, don't forget Frostfang. I mean, Frostfang's like, what, 10 damage per attack, bro? That's going to help out. Ends up working in his favor. So Curse, to give up 2 kills, they've also lost the bottom tower in the last couple of minutes. So well played around the Dragon, but CLG showing that, hey, we can lose that objective, we'll make it count elsewhere.
Yeah, so Cop rotating back here. It was a good ward there that was deep from CLG. And Aphromoo was lying in wait. There's the Frost, the double autos from the flash. I don't know if he actually had a charge from the Frostfang, but
I'm saying he did.
Congratulations to him then.
Either way.
It was pretty funny because Dominate had just tried to pull a very similar move, and he had a ward down there. Oh wow, Nien's gonna have to jump over the wall.
Does manage to get over the wall. Voyboy opts not to chase.
Dominate had the exact same plan that Aphro did. The only problem was that Dexter was lying in wait to back up Dominate's target. So it really turned around on them. It was pretty much the exact same plays, but CLG had the extra backup.
Well, we'll see how Curse respond. They've lost 2 towers. Doublelift is trying to run down Voyboy. Satchel Charge knocks him back. The pink ward is down. Dark Binding does not connect. And Link is throwing out those bouncing bombs. Voyboy able to get away. Summoner heal was used, though.
Now they're under pressure, though. Akali, yes, she's an assassin that if she gets rolling and roaming around with all these turrets down, can have a big impact on the game. But she has 0 wave clear. Ziggs' specialty is shoving down turrets and defending sieges. So they get that mid turret. It's going to open up a lot of the jungle for them. I don't see Dominate being able to farm up very easily from this point on. A lot of wards already from CLG, encroaching in Curse's territory.
Well, Dominate at 13 minutes currently has 23 stacks towards that Feral Flare.
That's extremely good.
That is very good timing, considering the early game, you kind of felt Dexter was getting in his face a little bit in that jungle.
Yeah, it's extremely good considering the counter jungling. I mean, right now is about the time that Feral Flare changes do come in, but he's definitely on track.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Dominate's build path. Most of the Nocturnes this weekend have trended towards the Blade of the Ruined King as their second item, but we have seen Brutalizer thrown in by the odd one yesterday, if memory serves correctly. Regardless, Council Logic Gaming, 3 towers down, 2,500 gold advantage. Dragon respawning in about 2 minutes, and with Curse not having any of their outer turrets, we'll see how they respond. The previous Dragon was, I don't want to say gifted, but the previous Dragon was taken by Curse, I think, after a brave call by Council Logic Gaming backfired, but they responded well.
Yeah, this time around though, Nien does still have his teleport, and it will be ready to join the fight. He is also early Sunfire, so he is that mid-game tank that provides a lot of value to the team. Quas has gone with the Tiamat into the Hydra build here, so he is a lot more damage, less tank for the team at the Dragon fight. Right now, it's damage-heavy dives from Curse. Well, Nocturne plus Renekton plus Akali.
We'll see if Curse can find their targets. We'll see if they make it work. Quas trading with Nien, down a level. Won't last too long though, as the mini wave's pushing up.
Yeah, it's very hard for the early game dives with those 3 to work out against the Ziggs. Ziggs has so much zone control. He can cover a lot of the battlefield in damage, just blanket it with the bombs around Dragon Pit is it's a very good territory for CLG to fight in, because all those melee champions that are looking to dive will be clumping up for the Ziggs damage.
Let's see how Link handles the positioning. Got that sweeping lanes. Going to be removing a ward there from Curse's side, reducing the risk of another potential dive, but Curse with a fair amount of vision. If you look on the mini-map, you can actually see CLG have got a string of wards across the entrances and exits to the river side of Curse's jungle. 5 seconds until Dragon spawns, and Curse seem to be responding well. They're grouping up The two players with teleport are still remaining top.
Dominate has been able to convert his flare, though. So 15 minutes in, not too shabby.
2 pink wards placed down for Curse. They're looking for vision superiority. CLG Gaming moving up from the river. Nien has actually run down. He's now in the middle lane.
It's actually a really big bonus for you to start the fight with your tank. Rather than having to have Quas teleport in, those few seconds can mean everything in the fight. If Nien's already down here, then CLG would have an advantage if the fight broke out immediately. But they are not starting up this dragon. Instead, trying to pull Curse towards the mid lane here by shoving it. And then drawing down bottom, because they have to do something. Quas is up there, he's going to get turret damage. If CLG don't do something down here, then they're going to lose out.
There's some pings there on Dragon. Teleports coming in from Quas. That does appear to be late. All of Curse are now in here, but joined the party too late. The culling goes down. Quas has no additional armor HP yet. He is going to slice and dice away from the damage. Nien jumps forward. Voyboy looking for some damage onto that half dragon.
Another binding!
They land a binding onto Voyboy. Paranoia goes up. Vision has been denied. Dominate tries to jump onto Doublelift. That is a very good wild growth, knocking up multiple members of CLG. Quas is in the backline. Voyboy's got one. Quas got the second before Doublelift replies. Now that damage dealer of Quas and Renekton grabbed the double kill. He's looking for the triple. Cop 90 calibers over the tree line. Piltover doesn't connect. Let's see if Quas can get in range. 2 seconds for slice and dice. He's got no minions to get through. That's a flash from Cop. And the tower should finish it off. One more hit. Kill credit to Cop. 4 for 1. But I didn't see who got the dragon. I believe it was Curse.
So, yeah, CLG got the dragon before it even started, so it was that late teleport. Yeah. But the fight goes completely Curse's way. Even with Quas getting chunked out before it started, CLG felt comfortable with this only because they got so much poke down. 2 bindings on Quas and on Voyboy before it starts. But then we see the staggered dive. Dominate goes in on the Doublelift, forcing his dash, and then flashes over the wall. Aphromoo's ulti is also down at this point, so the second wave of dive is able to be completely effective. They didn't all dive at the same time. Dominate went in, burned a lot from the back line, and then flashed out, able to escape, and it opened up the door for the second 2 to dive in. Voyboy and Quas going pretty deep.
Smart staggered dives from Curse gives them the kill advantage in that team fight. Still trailing on gold, thanks to not securing any towers from CLG Gaming. So, Aphromoo chilling out on the sidelines. Going to remove at least one of those Caitlyn traps. And I still think CLG have got pretty good vision. Look on the bottom half of the map. There's a lot of wards in Curse's jungle, and this is allowing them to donate this blue buff across the link. Yeah. Nobody from Curse even really in range.
Quas, though, he's on the one-man mission, taking care of that blue buff himself.
Got one ward down. Nien back to this top lane. Got himself the Bilge Water Cutlass now. So going to go for a little bit more damage on his side. Tanked up a while, but unfortunately CLG just seemed to get controlled in that previous team fights.
Yeah. Did you mention the Voyboy spike there with the completed Gunblade? That's actually really big for Akali. Now he does have chase potential if he catches anybody out. But they have very sparing ward coverage here for Team Curse. Mostly they're on the defensive. See if CLG's 4-man push down bottom will actually work out, because Voyboy's looking to come in and flank from the side. They want to be able to use that Lulu ulti on Voyboy.
Oh, we're still 30 seconds away from Paranoia being available. Voyboy backed away, decided not to come through the jungle. Minion wave is cleared out, and the longer this drags out, the more you've got to give preference or favorable fight conditions to CLG thanks to the poke that Link is landing.
Yes.
Continuously throwing out those bouncing bombs and that minefield, making Curse's life difficult.
Yeah, not only the Ziggs, but also Aphromoo and Morgana has been landing a lot of bindings which afford them follow-up damage. So both of those you have to be looking out for. And if Dexter is in the area as well, always got to watch those cocoons.
Well, we'll see if he can connect. CLG decide to back away from the inner turret. They didn't secure it.
By the way, he is not maxing his E second for Dexter here. He is going with the standard Elise build before the changes to her. So he's maxing Q into W.
So we'll see how Dexter, if he can get the damage down. He's picked up those Ionian Boots of Lucidity, which is becoming more and more common on jungle Elises. Obviously a little bit of tankiness with that Spread of the Ancient Golem. And on the rest of the itemization, nothing really shocking or surprising. Doublelift got a Shin picked up working towards his Trinity Force. We see cooldown reduction boots on Bunny FuFuu, who, by the way, is sporting a fantastic name for Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to all of you who celebrate. There's some cheers around the crowd.
The edge for Curse there because of the names. The gold lead, though, is giving CLG the edge, and they also have the edge in the poke game. So we'll have to see if Curse are able to get that hard engage, because it's the same strategy they used in their last series versus Dignitas. They want the hard engage versus the poke, and it's really about execution. As I said before, the onus of action is always on the team that are looking to dive in. It's on Curse to make the move, because CLG would love to just wait around and draw it out. As you said, they continually gain small advantages by the long, drawn-out sieges. And just the longer that they have to throw out more skill shots and land those bindings and those cocoons, the further the bar will tilt in CLG's favor. Yesterday,
Curse, they were holding even with Cloud9. They were making Cloud9 work really hard. And it was one decisive team fight in the 24, 25-minute mark that Curse executed somewhat wrong, misplayed, didn't really get the most out of all of their abilities. It cost them complete control. We'll see if Curse can make better decisions in team fights this time around. The Lulu is in a different player's hand, so the pressure now on Bunny FuFuu to make sure he gets the right target while growthed.
So the thing that Curse have actually done here is a slight adjustment to their strategy. They've gone much more damage heavy this time around with their hard engage. All three of these members are building damage. Even the Renekton with the Hydra is a lot of damage towards the back line. So they have a lot more impact if they can get back there without getting caught up by the Morgana, without getting caught up by the Ziggs and having to get through all these minefields. They have so much damage. If it is a successful engage, then they can annihilate Doublelift.
IWillDominate's got himself 13 stacks on that Feral Flare at 22 minutes, doing a very good job of farming himself up. Council Logic Gamer will grab this dragon uncontested. Curse not in position to challenge, nor even force a team fight. And caught napping a little bit, considering the two dragons they were around for.
So we talk about, priority lists before. I think everybody's updated on their priority lists. Everybody knows, yes, we need to control this dragon. However, you have to also update your timetables, because being in position maybe 10 seconds earlier really affords the benefit completely for one team. CLG able to get the dragon uncontested here. And the Ziggs bomb is going to try and steal away this blue. Just threw it away. Didn't see if it landed. I don't think he stole it.
Nope, his old blue buff is just timing out for the time being. We'll see where CLG take the rest of this comp. Its game is slowed down extremely since CLG have forced Curse onto the inner turrets. For a moment or two, CLG was touching that bottom lane inner turret, but decided not to commit more resources to that siege, and instead have been farming up. Now they do appear to be grouping towards that middle lane, so we'll need to see if they want to commit to any form of prolonged siege. And of course, you can't run the risk of being engaged upon. CLG themselves using the power of those long-range ultimates yesterday against Team Solo Mid. So if they overextend, the Nocturne, Renekton, Akali could jump onto their heads and give them a tough time. Trinity Force just completed for Doublelift. Cop's got himself a Last Whisper. Cop the only one trailing in CS on the Curse side, as Dominate's got a massive lead over Dexter, as you sort of expect on this style of jungler.
Yeah, he has been hard farming his jungle, and it has worked out pretty well. As you said, he's definitely on pace with that item. He's also gone into the Giant's Belt now, so he's not extremely squishy. He's going towards that Randuin's. Very strong first defensive item. Hexdrinker already picked up because so much ridiculous magic damage on the CLG team. However, losing control of the priority camps, the buffs here. Not a lot of ward coverage from Curse inside their own jungle, which they really need, not only to defend buffs, but also to get picks with Nocturne and Akali. Those two can jump on somebody if they're ever out of position.
Well, the last few minutes,
Curse need to be able to see it.
Last few minutes, CLG have extended that gold lead back to 2,000. It's swung back and forth over the course of the game. I still think CLG are doing a better job at vision control than Curse are.
Yeah.
Every time you look at the minimap, there are more CLG wards in Curse's jungle, which is affording them the ability to steal those red buffs and move unchallenged so far.
Yeah, it also affords Nien the ability to stay pretty far up in this top lane here. He's past that point where he has to be really scared in the Shyvana and Renekton matchup. This is the point in the power graph where Shyvana overtakes him. He's got the Blade of the Ruined King. in addition to his Sunfire. So you can see Nien now is the one with the upper hand. And he has played a very calm game. That's what we were looking for him in this series. He's been able to steady his nerves, and CLG are playing to their strengths.
We'll see if it's going to be enough. That is the question. Doublelift sitting in this bottom lane, farming up a Storm. Got himself some very key items on that Lucian. And we've seen some great Lucian plays this week. Cutie Pie yesterday in particular, with some good mechanical outplays. We'll see if Doublelift's dancing shoes are on par when you consider there are 3 champions that want to be in his face and make his life difficult.
Yeah, he's really got to rely on Link and Aphromoo, because the dive is going to come from Curse. They're crouched and ready. They just need the right opportunity for everyone to jump in and back it up with that Lulu ulti. If they see anybody, if they see a little opening, then they can jump in on CLG. If they get that 1 kill, then they can snowball. However, CLG have great zone control for the all-in dive with those 2 members, Link and Aphro.
Cop is in the bottom lane. Quas is sitting just on the sidelines. He'll need to get past the ward.
Cop's going to get there before Nien. This is 4 versus 5.
Let's see how this goes. Quas slices and dices through the minion line. The ace in the hole comes up. That's a big chunk of damage missing onto Link. Now Doublelift is going to get forced away. The first victim of the fight is Voyboy. As Doublelift then replies. Dominate is trying to get the fear down onto Link. They've traded a couple of kills. Quas is doing great job so far. That's a triple. That's not going to be the quadra for him though, as Curse are looking onto Nien. Nien's trying to tank up 3 members of Curse before finally he decides to back away. This is a 4-for-2 fight. It's not over yet. Nien forced to flash over the tree line. Curse are going to get in the tower. Another convincing team fight.
That's going to give them the objective after the team fight that they just won. Huge swing in gold. They're still behind though. It's a giant swing for them though. A lot of momentum because they were able to get their dive. And you can see how long that dive went on. They dove all the way from their secondary turret into the midline turret of CLG. So Dominate goes in, Quas goes in, Voyboy goes in. This is what you're expecting. And CLG are trying to kite back, using the minefield, using the ults from Aphromoo and the bindings, but they weren't able to keep Doublelift alive. Too much mobility from Curse, and they dive all the way. This is such a long chase here from Curse, all the way back down the midfield. And as you said, Nien's able to flash over the side in the end, but that affords them the first outer turret. Curse able to take down the first turret of the game. And that's pretty much the situation where they're going to be getting turrets, is they have to win the team fights first.
So that's 2 team fights in a row. One that was in Dragon, one that was in the mid lane, where Curse have come out in a pretty substantial lead based off of the fight. Voyboy was focused down very quickly, which I suppose bodes well for CLG if they can get rid of that priority target. But Voyboy did not have his hourglass going into that fight. He does have it now. Dragons respawned. This time around, CLG are out of position. Doublelift try a cheeky steal, maybe with Link.
Also, Quas has his teleport because he was with the team for that engage, and Nien had to use his teleport to come in later. So they are up a global summoner. See how Dominate can smite? He keeps his cool.
That was very good timing from Dominate. Gonna even up the Dragons at 2-2 now. Secured 2 of 4. And with that Dragon, both teams were exactly the same on gold. 45,900 a piece. Quas returns to the top lane. As you touched on, he had actually roamed to the mid lane, and it was something that you had called out during the first big team fight, how Nien was present. Nien was around and didn't need to wait for the channel time on that summoner spell. So Curse just continue to play passively, play a farm game. Voyboy is well past Tadpole stage.
Yes, he is.
He's into fully fledged
and as
leaping death frog toads.
And we got to see exactly what I was talking about with this team, the Curse team. They were crouched and ready. They just needed a long distance to fight over, and they were able to chase all the way into CLG territory. They had to use every inch of map too, from tower to tower. They went the full distance of that mid lane. And that's going to be the way that these fights go. It's constantly going to be CLG kiting backwards, trying to deal damage as they kite backwards to kill these 3 members of Curse as they're trying to save Doublelift.
It's interesting to see Cop opted to go for the makings of an Infinity Edge as his 3rd item. No additional attack speed, no additional Zeals or Phantom Dancers. You could theorize just looking for that burst damage, looking for his Piltovers and his Aces in the hole to actually melt somebody on CLG. Throw that burst down. You've seen how hard it hit Link in the previous team fight. If you get that with Voyboy and Dominate, somebody's going to die.
Yeah, and you also play a little bit differently when you build Caitlyn this way. If you don't go with that Phantom Dancer or some attack speed item for your third item, then you have to weave in your Peacemakers and your nets in with your auto attacks, because you have a little bit of time, extra time there, since your auto attacks are slower. Oh, here we go.
Oh, they're going to jump onto Link. Link is dead. Ace in the hole finishes it off. That is exactly what we were talking about. The rest of Curse looking for more objectives to secure. 2 ultimates down, and they've taken out the biggest component of CLG's defense and offense when it comes to sieging.
So that's what I was talking about with the Akali and Nocturne. Ridiculous pick power. They were able to find their target and annihilate Link. He really does need his Zhonya's in this one, but he's gotten full damage, so he has to use his positioning to stay alive.
Oh,
Doublelift,
that's a lot of damage. Voyboy goes in, pops the Zhonya's hourglass. Nien is sticking in the team. Wild Growth comes up. Voyboy forced to back away. Mikhail's Crucible there just to save his life. As Bunny FuFuu looks like his life might go down. Summon a heal used to keep him alive a few moments longer. Kill secured for CLG, but tower secured for Curse. The slow comes out onto Quas. He's going to be able to put some distance away thanks to that slice and dice. And 1 for 0, but tower for Curse.
Because Curse made this adaptation where they went more damage heavy with their dive comp, they can't tank turrets quite yet. Quas does not have any armor in addition to the Sunfire cape, so even he would have a hard time. But Voyboy especially does not want to be taking tower hits. A little bit too deep for Curse, but they still come out ahead. They get the global gold. Give up positioning around Baron though.
Well, there's no Paranoia available yet. Dominate is fairly healthy, has Flash and Smite available. 3 members of Curse encroaching. That's 4, in fact, as Cop now makes his way. Remember, Ziggs is here for zoning. The rest of CLG decides to peel. Voyboy jumps back in. He's been exhausted. The damage is out. Dominate eats a massive Mega Inferno Bomb. Curse in, out. They can't decide what they want to do. Now Cop has rejoined the fight. Can he clean house? CLG losing so much hit points.
Bunny FuFuu
now
comes in for the slow.
You were in so much trouble. Bunny FuFuu's in the middle of the whole team. What are you doing, man? You are not going to get resurrected. And that is Bunny FuFuu going down. CLG, 3 quick kills, and most likely the Baron.
Oh, the jungler goes down, and then Bunny FuFuu, who just spawned, spawns, then walks right into the team, dies again, right back to the death chambers. This is going to be CLG taking the Baron down, unless there's a miracle here.
Nope, no miracles this time around. CLG get themselves a gold lead. They get the first Baron of the game, and the first commanding team fight, I think, from CLG.
Yeah.
It was all about Curse's moves, but that one is all about CLG.
It was a costly mistake from Curse there to overextend and chase. After they got CLG to stop the Baron, that was a win for them because they had already gotten that turret in the top lane. They only wanted to stop CLG from answering with something. But then overextending with the chase, losing your jungler and again your support right at the door to Baron is a really big step for CLG. And we'll have to see, because that was 2 tower dives for Curse. Kind of backfired.
Well, we still have not seen CLG put together any sort of siege with their composition. And I feel like they could do pretty well considering the range of their abilities. Regardless, with Baron buff up, let's see where they decide to roll around. 1 minute till Dragon, and both top and bottom lanes have the inner turrets available.
Yeah, so Curse are still looking to pick someone off. I mean, they do not want to fight while Baron buffs up. They would like to delay or like to make CLG waste some time by running around the map. But they do have a ridiculous ability to blow someone up 100% if they see them out. The other thing about this Cop build that he's going, all this heavy damage, no attack speed, is that his ace in the hole hits like a truck. If somebody's out of position and Voyboy or Dominate are able to get vision and dive on him, Cop doesn't even have to be there to follow up. He can just ace in the hole from across the map, and it will take out a good portion of anyone's life.
1,200 physical damage total right now from that ace in the hole before mitigation. So we'll see how effective that will be. Nien is going to find Quas.
That's not someone they want to catch out, though. They don't want to burn anything into Nien.
Well, we'll see how quickly Quas can get away. Dark Binding doesn't connect. That was max range.
Costly
the slow
mistake.
comes up. Quas forced to flash. The culling is now being burned. Can Quas get away? The answer is no. Intanto secures the killing blow, and that was just Quas being a little overconfident in his positioning.
Yeah, that was a very, very poor ambush. That definitely turned around for Curse, and it gives CLG the opportunity to take inhibitor turrets.
Well, Nien tanks up the first couple of hits, and that tower is not surviving long. Instantly secured. Curse deciding not to challenge for this one. Let's see if anyone pulls the trigger to jump in. Nien just zoning away members of Curse and an uncontested inhibitor, thanks to a positional error from Curse.
Yeah, everything is going in CLG's favor now. A couple mistakes there from Curse, and it's going to afford them not only inhibitor, but another outer turret.
CLG finally get back down to this bottom turret. It's 20 minutes at least between the last time they were touching it and this time. It goes down very, very quickly, and Council Logic Gaming now continue to apply pressure to Curse's base. 5 seconds still, Quas is up. Does not have any form of home guard boots built up yet, but he should be able to get in range to defend the inhibitor if Curse decide to engage.
Wow. 2 inhibitor turrets down. Here comes the engage, though.
We'll see what can Dominate do. The Wild Growth comes up, knocks up most of Curse. He's the first victim to fall, though, before Bunny FuFuu gets blown up. That's a double kill for Link. Now we see Voyboy throws down the Zhonya's Hourglass. Can they do anything more? Cop has been dropped in the backline. Quas doing work. That's a lot of AoE. He's got one. Looking for the second. Aphromoo's trying to get away. That's Slice. That's Dice. Meek secures the kill. Link on the way out. He's got the range and the damage. Cocoon connects onto Quas. Dexter, Nien, and Link should take out the Crocodile. Voyboy's jumped back in. He's satchel to the side. He dashes over the wall. He gets blown up by Link on Ziggs, and that's an ace for CLG.
CLG again, they're able to kite effectively this dive team, and Voyboy did not get to put out very much damage in that fight. His Guardian Angel was popped before he even got up maybe 2 combos of Q and R. And then after he got back up, not much available for him to spell vamp off up. So CLG with a tremendous swing in this game. 2 inhibitors down, plus they're the ones with the advantage in the siege. They have the poke advantage. It should be a pretty easy route for CLG. Return to base, purchase with all that ridiculous gold that they just got in the last 5 minutes, and then head top, finish out the game with supers.
Well, CLG have got all the time in the world now. Super minions, as you mentioned, in both the bottom and middle lane. Twin Shadows, Spooky Ghosts been secured for Aphromoo. Going to give them even more kiting or chasing power, depending on the direction. And
all right, let's watch this dive. So Dominate and Voyboy are up. They don't even have Quas, but they force this one right now. Quas teleporting in down bottom. Now he joins in. He joins in at the time where Voyboy's G8 is already popped. And as soon as Voyboy gets back up, he's able to get Link pretty low, but Aphromoo's doing a great job with the Mikhails, keeping his life back up, and then Voyboy has a hard time getting back through Nien and joining the fight later. As we know, he rejoins the fight, but to very little effect. Quas was doing work down there, off screen, getting a couple kills for Curse. Voyboy going down in the end.
Yeah, unfortunately not going to have the burst they needed. The ace in the hole gambit from Cop was eaten by Nien, and it did next to nothing. It barely scratched Nien with all of that armor. Sunfire gave
another ambush that would not be beneficial.
Quas just get his Banshee's Veil pop, manages to get away this time, but as we talked about, CLG allowing the map and the minions to do work for them as they push to this top lane and the last remaining inner turrets.
Yeah, I mean, Curse, they didn't want to let CLG get away with taking so much there, but they forced it a little bit. Quas teleporting in back, wasn't able to join by the time, you know, Voyboy was already popped in GA, so huge win for CLG.
Continue to grab themselves the 8th tower of the game. It is a matter of time before CLG get onto this last inhibitor turret. 3 Banshee's Veils on their sides, and Cocoon close to Voyboy actually. That one almost caught him out. Doublelift playing quite safe, not getting in auto attack range yet. Going to allow Link to do all the work that he can with those bombs before putting himself in any sort of risky spots.
And Aphromoo also is buying extra things to help kite for the rest of his team, for Link and for Doublelift here. Now, also with the Twin Shadows to slow people down even further when they dive in on them. It's going to be extremely hard for Curse to get through the minefields and the Morgana.
And the Spooky Ghosts, and the Mikhails, and the Banshee's Veils. What we're saying is CLG are in a very commanding position.
Turret gonna go down, will they pull the trigger?
The answer is now!
Dead.
The tower has fallen, Ace in the hole goes through, Dominate all the way forward. They're trying to focus down the end. Finally, Quas decides to go backwards. That's a double knockup from the Wild Growth. Bunny FuFuu, first victim of the fight. Dominate gets dropped shortly thereafter. Now Quas, once again, face-tagging 3 members of CLG. It's too little, it's too late, and CLG have got 3 kills. Another inhibitor. Cop will be the next victim. Will he get away? That's the question. Darkfighting does not connect. And this is going to be CLG on the Nexus turrets, on the Nexus, grabbing the first game in the series.
Solid opening game there for CLG. That guy in the end, solid play as well. Kept his calm, took his early CS disadvantage on Shyvana in stride, came back very strong, hit his power point, was able to make the right moves. CLG pretty strong in this game, but Curse as well. They know what the mistakes they made to give up this game were. There were a couple of mid-game mistakes that happened in quick succession, and they're definitely going to be reviewing that, trying to clean that up for the next game. They easily could have had a strong end game here as well, but a couple positional mistakes.
Calm, controlled, and calculated. That's exactly how CLG played this matchup. From the get-go, they grabbed an early tower lead, and then they slowed the game down. They didn't put themselves in a position where they could get collapsed upon or where they could get engaged on. And I think maybe that could have been part of the reason Curse decided to force those engages, decided to force the fights, because CLG just wasn't presenting anyone out of position, wasn't presenting anyone to get instantly caught and blown up.
Yeah, that's the team that they were running here. They were trying to play the waiting game, and they just wait until they accumulate enough advantages, and they capitalize on the mistakes from Curse.
So Curse play Akali in the mid lane. They had that Nocturne and that Renekton. Slightly different style of composition from what we've been seeing with their Mundo and their Lulu pairings, but a little more along the lines of that Xin Zhao and Yasuo that we have seen at least once or twice this weekend. What do you think for next game? Do they go back to the one that has helped them win games or stick with this aggressive comp?
I think they are going to stick with the aggressive comp because they talked about they feel like they know the mistakes that they made and they can clean them up.
All right, we'll have to see if they can. For you guys at home, remember to share your highlights from today's games by tweeting us at LOL Esports and using that hashtag LCS Big Plays. Now we're going to throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk to help break down CLG's win in the series.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. So, big game one win there by CLG. One game away from taking that third place spot there. Curse maybe dropped down to forever fourth. So, that game was very interesting. CLG started out with a gigantic lead. Their bottom lane, I thought, stepped up really well, and they kind of won the lane by themselves.
Yeah, Lulu kept getting hit by bindings over and over again, and I'm pretty sure that Lulu Kate is supposed to be able to bully out that lane. I mean, you just have more range, you have more pushing potential, but because he kept getting hit by those binds, they got chunked out early, and they just lost their turret early. And yeah, it just turned out really bad for them. I'm not sure if this is bad play, nerves. Just didn't look like Bunny was comfortable in Lulu compared to maybe his like Thresh or his Leona.
Yeah, what do you think that might be on Bunny's side?
I'm not entirely sure with Bunny. I still feel like he's a bit of a Thresh or bust player right now. I know the rest of the Curse team has a lot of confidence in him, but when teams take a Thresh away from him, he's still adapting to play the different style, and it doesn't necessarily work with Cop. This overall, though, was a really strange game. I feel like both these teams are still kind of reeling from their defeats yesterday because it was not 100% from both teams as far as I could tell.
Yeah, it seems like there are a few parts of the team that stepped up really well. I thought, again, CLG's bottom lane, they won their lane for themselves. CLG even started out with a 3-turret lead. It seemed like early laning was going their way.
Yep.
And then things got a little weird. They took a couple of bad team fights. Like, what was up with like Curse just like randomly coming back into fights?
I mean, it looked like Curse has an all-in, we're going to pick you off and assassinate you comp. I mean, Akali she's an assassin by nature. But I didn't really like their team comp because they only had one way to play it, and that's just, we got to go in. And, of course, you have Ziggs, who has an insane counter engage. Just throws up the Mega Inferno Bomb, puts all the minefield out, and you just have to run into all that and take all that damage when you come in. And it looked like Voyboy just didn't have an impact when it came to mid and late game. He just got exhausted and pop.
All right, so let's actually pull up our first replay then. It's actually when Curse was actually doing very well in the mid game. It's around 20 minutes in, and Curse get a dive here that sets them up pretty nicely in the mid game.
Yeah, let's just figure out exactly where we're going. Yeah, this was a big dive by IWillDominate, and honestly, when they all go all in, it worked pretty well for CLG. Quas was an absolute monster. It was just a matter of not all getting hit by the Ziggs bomb. That was a fight where the Ziggs bomb didn't completely destroy them, and then they had no damage left to really peel Quas out of it.
Yeah, I think that's really big that the Ziggs ult missed, because if you look in the fights that they won, really huge damage to just blow everybody up when they came in. But because they couldn't hit that and they couldn't layer that damage on, they couldn't kill Quas. Like, Quas is just a monster here. They don't have enough damage to take him out at this point in the game. But of course, once Doublelift gets Last Whisper, the story kind of changes.
And Quas also went pretty offensive for a build. I think he would have went a little bit tankier. But seriously, after that fight, you could see the power in Curse at that moment. They were kind of in position to control the game from that point, but they just weren't able to.
Yeah, our featured matchup was Nien versus Quas. It seemed like Quas just completely destroyed and sort of carried that mid game through. And it was until CLG actually got themselves to some real team fights, right? On the caster death, we talked about it. CLG turtling for a while when they were behind. You think that's the right choice, where it's like, guys, things aren't working, wait it out?
I don't know if they had the intention of turtling, because there's that one fight where they just Curse just kind of tower dove and just lost all their momentum off of that. And on top of that, Renekton does bully Shyvana in lane, and of course he's just stronger in lane. He's a stronger early game champion. But once Shyvana gets some items and matches up with them and gets in these team fights, just because of her passive and the way her kit works, she just scales better in the late game.
Okay, well, actually, the fight you just mentioned, we have a replay. That one actually is the Curse over dive that turns into the Logic Gaming Baron. If you want to put that up on the screen. If you guys want to walk us through what happened in this fight.
There were a lot of mistakes on both sides if we just go right into this, because Curse was feeling overconfident, but they dove pretty much when they were out of minions just because Quas was there. Voyboy went in way ahead of the rest of the team. It kind of seemed like he just had Zhonya's, so he wanted to bait with it.
Yeah, if you look, when he's coming out of the tower, he's actually tanking turret hits. So at this point, Voyboy is a non-factor in this team fight. He can't even go back in because they had to blow all the heals and the shields on him, and he just can't go back into the fight. There's nothing on him. And
Bunny FuFuu down, Quas low. This was kind of a funny moment in the game because I was saying, CLG, just do Baron, just do Baron. Not because it was a smart move. I just knew it would create chaos and that I wanted to see it. And then CLG, since they had been losing, kind of saw an opportunity and were maybe just hoping to draw out Curse mistakes.
Yeah, I thought Curse was just going to get them off of Baron and then back out on this. But they commit a little bit too hard, and you can see Voyboy gets caught out here. Quas and Dominate try to go in to help him out, and they just get cleaned up off of this. And of course, that's just going to mean a free Baron for CLG.
And the strangest thing all about this was just how much they split up. You can see IWillDominate flashed in one direction, and then we were both confused as to what was actually going on here. What is Bunny FuFuu thinking?
I think he was trying to get to Dominate to get the ultimate on him, but
he lost control of the map.
Yeah, he
didn't think about it.
I don't think he's looking at his character. He's just looking, he's like, I got to get to Dominate. I got to get this ulti. Oh my god, I'm in the middle of 4 people.
Yeah. It was a really unfortunate play that he hasn't played much Lulu before, and I've brought this up before as far as people playing new champions. You can play the champion just fine. You can play the laning matchup. You can concentrate enough. These pro players are good enough for that. But then, because you're focusing so hard on one thing, you forget about others. At that point, he was like, awesome, I'm Lulu. I can get the ultimate on this guy. There's 5 people in the way.
Yeah, I definitely think he wasn't as mindful of his positioning, and that showed actually in yesterday's games. He had a couple of fights where it looked like he was looking at the team fight and looking where I got to get shields on these people, I got to get ultimates on these people, and he was just out of position because he was focusing on that.
Yep.
So then, looking forward to the next game, then Logic Gaming, early lead, lost some focus. Curse too aggressive for their own good. What are the changes these teams need to make to have a good showing in Game 2?
I feel like this is actually still Curse who played better in this game if they can just eliminate their mistakes. CLG didn't impress me too much in this game. They stuck with it and played consistent, but they weren't making the same actions that gave them victory in their first game from TSM yesterday. If Curse can limit their mistakes and dive a little bit smarter, I think they'd take this to a Game 3.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I could definitely see this going 2-1, either team's favor. This looked like Curse got a little bit overambitious, I want to say, and they didn't sync up their dive quite right. I mean, yeah, Voyboy just took all the turret damage and came in a little bit late. And this happened multiple times in that game. So I think if they can just sync up their engages, it'll be a lot better for them.
All right, we'll see if these guys can do it. And now that CLG is 1 win away from locking in 3rd place, we're going to see if they can get it done in the next game versus Curse. But as we go to take a break, we just want to remind people, it's not easy being a Poro.
You get my back, huh?